Hello everyone. Today we'll be going over Reddit threads where the OP was in the wrong. Please consider liking and subscribing, and if you have any personal stories that you'd like to send, please send them to dumbarcusyoutube@gmail.com. I also just uploaded my first video and this one on Spotify, so if you guys would like to check it out, the link will be in the bio. Anyway, let's get into it. So our first story for the day is going to be, am I the asshole for making my girlfriend leave the country? This is my first time posting on Reddit, so forgive any errors or if the format is weird. I also can't give too many details as my girlfriend and a lot of close friends are avid Redditors. I, 28 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 27 female, for 5 years. We met in college where she was an international student. She started working after graduating while I am currently doing a master's. Her company was sponsoring her visa until they got bought out and she got laid off. She was given a limited time to find a new employer to sponsor her a new visa, and it really stressed her out. She was applying to jobs every day and did a lot of interviews, but unfortunately wasn't able to get an offer. She really wanted to stay since she loves the place and I would still be here in the country. While I was out with a buddy, he suggested I sponsor her visa since we have been in a relationship for quite some time. I love her and I didn't want to see her so stressed out, so I told her about the idea. She was hesitant at first. She said she didn't want me to think that she was with me so I could be her way to a permanent residence/citizenship to the country. I wanted her to stay and I wanted to do it. We consulted an immigration consultant and decided to do the paperwork on our own. She was the one who mostly looked into the stuff we needed to prepare. She still applied for jobs, but not as urgently as she used to. It took a while since we never really had anything joint. We lived together and just split the bills on our own. She had enough saved up to be okay for a while. I had to fill out some paperwork to be her sponsor, and I felt uneasy about it. I did want her to stay, but it felt like it was too much. Eventually, she was done with her part, and all that was left was mine. I finally told her I didn't want to go through with it. She was very upset and asked why. I told her that I suggested the idea because I didn't want to see her stressed out all the time, and that I eventually realized that I shouldn't have to be responsible for her. We had a long talk where I told her I still want to be in a relationship with her, but I just don't want to be forced to be responsible for her. She said she felt very hurt by what I said. Things changed, and she didn't really talk to me after. She kept applying for jobs and attending interviews, but eventually her visa expired. Before she left, I told her I love her and that I would really want her to come back. However, she told me she sees me differently after the things I told her. It has been a few weeks since she left. I miss her cooking, her presence, and being able to spend time with her. I still want a future with her. However, our close friends have been telling me that I was an asshole. I disagree, and I think they are biased. So here, I am asking what Reddit thinks. Am I the asshole? And obviously, the comments overwhelmingly called him an asshole, but let's get into some of the specific ones. This commenter says, quoting the OP, "Before she left, I told her I love her and I would really want her to come back. I feel dirty, the bad kind of dirty, just thinking you said that to someone after what you did. You gave her hope and then backed out like a coward when it was time to do the hard work. And that hard work was committing to an already established 5-year relationship. You're the asshole, and she's gone." Another person says, "Definitely you're the asshole. Kinda strung her along there, buddy. Also, everyone commenting about her being an ex-girlfriend is correct. Her comment when leaving is definitely her breakup line to you. Doesn't matter what you want now." Another comment says, "You're the asshole. You should have sat and thought it through fully before even mentioning it to her as an option. If you sat and thought it through and didn't think you could do it comfortably, you wouldn't need to tell her. If you sat and thought it through and determined you were comfortable and willing to do it, then you mention it to her. You kinda jumped the gun, got her hopes up, made her feel secure just to turn around and take it all away after all the work she put in for an idea that wasn't even hers to begin with." And then one last commenter says, "You're the asshole. You're an incredibly selfish person who wasted so much of her time and energy doing an immigration procedure, time which she could have better utilized to find work. Maybe she relaxed a little because she felt she could share this burden after you promised to sponsor her instead of going through it all alone. God forbid, right? What are you doing in a 5-year-long committed relationship if you can't support your partner in something that is in no way her fault? I was in your girlfriend's situation 2 years ago, and guess what? My SO didn't even consider abandoning me like you did her, though we had only been together 2 years at this point. That's what love is. I thank the universe yet again after reading this that he wasn't a prick like you. You don't want to be responsible for her even after a commitment of 5 years? What do you think serious relationship/marriage involve? You don't deserve her, and you definitely don't love her. There are no words to express how much you suck and how much you effed her over. I hope she kicks you to the curb." And then, after the obvious amount of hate that the OP got, they edited their post to clarify a few things, and they say the following. Edit. I have read through a lot of comments, and everyone seems to think I am the asshole here. To those asking what my responsibilities would be, I would have to be financially responsible for her for 3 years. If she gets any government assistance or social welfare, I would have to pay it back. I also can't sponsor anyone else until the 3 years have passed. Also, I listed what I missed about her in no particular order. I listed that I miss her cooking first, but it doesn't mean I don't miss her. To the people who said I'm probably an immigrant too, what does that have to do with anything? My parents moved to where we are now, so here I am. I still stand by what I said. No one I know has to do anything like this. It just doesn't feel normal. I would want to eventually have a home with her, but I don't think anyone should have to be responsible for another person's decisions or their circumstances. It's just gaslighting if you convince someone that they should be. I don't know if anyone will see this edit since it has been a few days. I have updates, so I'll probably do a separate post about it when I have time. And then the OP gives us an update a couple days later, and this is what they have to say. I couldn't reply to everyone who commented on my last post, and there were many people who DM'd me, including asking for an update. The general consensus was that I am the asshole. I will just address a lot of the things here, including what happened after my first post. Update. I talked to her over the weekend. She didn't have time to sell her car before leaving, so she contacted me saying she did some paperwork to transfer the car to me. I do understand she felt hurt, so I told her that I would buy a plane ticket to go see her. She had never once went back to her home country after moving away, so I've never visited her home country. I wanted to show that I am very serious about her and that I am still committed, so I wanted to fly over to visit and talk things out. She immediately turned me down, saying that flight tickets are expensive and that I still have work. I begged her to let me, and she eventually said she couldn't forget the stuff that happened and that she couldn't come back from it. I explained my side again, and that while I understand that she is hurt, I shouldn't be forced to take responsibility for her, and that I hoped she would be understanding of that. The conversation was long. She said she could never trust me again. She said I never saw a future with her from the start, and that I abandoned her. She said it wasn't just about the sponsorship, but it played a big part in it. In the end, she told me that she still loved me, but she doesn't think we should be together. To clarify a couple of things. The OP repeats the first few points made in his first post, so I'll just read the rest. 4. Yes. No one I know has to do anything like this. No one I know has to make the decision of whether or not to sponsor a visa. I don't think it's fair for anyone to have to take on this much responsibility, and saying that they should feels like gaslighting. Relationships shouldn't be this hard, and having to do something like this doesn't feel normal. For those of you who called me an asshole, how many of you actually have to make a decision like I did? How many of you would actually go through with sponsoring a partner's visa? And now, Let's see how some of the commenters reacted to the update. One commenter says, "I am glad she took that decision. You are not someone she could rely on. You offered a solution and waited the last minute to not go through with it. You said it yourself, she had enough money to keep her independence and was actively looking for her job. You decided to play the hero, and as soon as you can, you dropped her. I am really happy for her. She dodged a bullet. Good luck with your life." And then another comment quotes OP saying, "I don't think it's fair for anyone to have to take on this much responsibility." And they say, "The thing is, dude, it's not like she came to you with the suggestion. Nobody made you bring up the idea to her before you thought all that shit through or got expert guidance on your own. You voluntarily took on the responsibility, encouraged her to make important decisions based on the assumption you'd follow through, and then you got cold feet. Of course she no longer trusts you, and you need to be willing to live with that, along with any criticism that comes with it." One last comment quotes the OP saying, "How many of you would actually go through with sponsoring a partner's visa?" And they say, "I've watched my best friend do this twice, for 2 different partners. Breakup with first partner was unrelated. Bottom line is this means you did not see her as currently your family. When it came down to it, you were not fully invested after 5 years. There are a lot of different circumstances that can leave a partner dependent on you. Accident, illness, medical complications. What you said here was that quite simply, you were not up for supporting her. And it's entirely reasonable that she takes that to mean you are not partners, because the expectation in a long-term partnership is that you step up to support each other when things are hard. Why would she trust you or think of you as a partner after this?" And then we don't hear from the OP for about another 2 months. But when we do, it's probably one of the worst updates I have personally ever seen on Reddit. And the title of it is, "My ex-girlfriend blanked after she broke up with me and everyone is blaming me." And let's get into it. I've, 28 male, posted before about my ex-girlfriend, 27 female, and why we broke up, so I won't get into that here. We dated for almost 5 years before we broke up. A couple of weeks ago, I received a sum of money from my ex-girlfriend. This happened while I was sleeping, as we were in different time zones, so I only saw it when I woke up. A message was included with the deposit that said, "Hope this helps pay off some of the student loans." It wasn't a huge sum, but still significant, so I tried to contact her, but I couldn't reach her. Fast forward to last week, a mutual friend of ours wanted to check up on how she was doing, but they couldn't reach her either. They Google searched her name and the country she was in, and through Google Translate, they found out that she blanked. No one knows exactly when she passed, but most probably soon after she sent me the money, and no one could find anything about a funeral either. She wasn't close to her family and didn't have that many family members in her country. Other friends found out about it too, and since then, everyone has been blaming me for her passing. Obviously, I'm devastated by it too. However, I think it's unfair for people to say that I'm the reason she blanked, or that I could have helped her. She's had depression before when we were dating, and I've always managed to get her to get over it, but problems still did come up from time to time. She was also the one who broke up with me after I tried to make things work. This incident has very negatively impacted my relationship with my friends, as I work with some of them in school. Some very close friends have also stopped talking to me. What do I do? How do I convince them that it wasn't my fault? And how do I get my friends to treat me normally again? And before we even get into any of the comments or anything, I just wanted to say personally how much that hurt to read. It was so hard to read when you could see he was still making everything about himself. He briefly talks about how he feels about his girlfriend's passing, but it seems he's more concerned about people's opinions of him and how to get them to side with him. At the minimum, he doesn't even make the post in a way where he needs a place to vent to get his feelings out in a safe space with others to help him. The post is literally just about how he can make sure his reputation can be recovered, and almost nothing about how he actually feels bad about his girlfriend's passing. I'm sure a lot of the comments are saying similar things to me, so let's get into some of them. And again, just disgusting. A commenter says, "I remember you. What a piece of work you are. The poor girl is effing past, and here you are, still only thinking and talking about yourself. You wouldn't accept any responsibility for your actions in any of your other posts, and I doubt you've grown up any since then. You won't convince anybody you're completely absolved of this any more than you could convince anybody that you weren't in the wrong the last times either." And I couldn't have said it any better myself. "I'll make it very clear for you. You set this poor woman up for failure and heartbreak, and you did it so selfishly and callously that no one supported your actions. You forced her from her home, from her dreams of a life with you, and destroyed her belief that you loved her. You were her support in her depression, and you took that away too, all because you thought sponsoring her citizenship was too much like hard work for you. After 5 years together, after you convinced her to apply for citizenship, promised you'd be there for her. Just like there was nothing you could say to convince Reddit you weren't in the wrong before, there are no words to bring your friends back to you. Sadly for you, you've shown exactly what type of person you are, and they don't like what they see." Another commenter says, "You are a very scary person. It's super sad that internet strangers with zero interaction with that girl care more about her than you do. Please make sure you tell any future partners this part of your past. They deserve to know you are more than happy to drive a long-term partner to the extreme." One last comment says, "You say she didn't have close family. Well, she had you for 5 years, and you screwed her over. You abandoned her. Good luck trying to convince anyone you didn't play a part in her decision. No one will believe you, and I don't blame them. You made some horrible choices, and I don't know how you could have treated her like that. Good job." Our next post is going to be, "Am I the asshole for euthanizing my daughter's emotional support animal for her own sake?" It's already a crazy title. Let's get into it. "Using a throwaway because I have family members on Reddit. My daughter recently turned 20. She's been dealing with major depressive disorder, social anxiety, anorexia, body dysmorphic disorder, and 2 autoimmune diseases since she was around 12. I'm very involved in her treatment and obviously wanted her to get better. So when her therapist recommended getting her a dog to register as an ESA, we got her one for her 16th birthday, named Juniper. I generally dislike animals, but it was for my daughter's sake, so I caved. Junie and my daughter grew close, and I have seen a notable difference in her since we got the dog, especially in her sense of independency and self-esteem. 4 years later, my daughter is now a part-time tutor, volunteers with the elderly, and attends school full-time with excellent grades. I'm so proud of how far she's come, and though I realize she has a ways to go, Junie has helped her, and I credit the dog for that immensely. Here's the problem. While my daughter was at school, Junie got out of the house and got hit by a car since we live right in front of a busy street. My wife and I rushed her into the vet and were told that Junie would need surgery, which would cost somewhere in the ballpark of $2,000. I make a good salary, but I just cannot justify spending that much on a dog, especially when it may not even work and Junie would probably be crippled. Plus, she was pushing 5 years old and her breed usually only lives for 9 to 10 years. Due to all these reasons, I decided the humane and logical decision would be to euthanize Junie. At this point, I called my daughter to let her know the situation and the solution I'd chosen, and she freaked out on me. She tried telling me how she had $700 in savings and would quickly find a job to pay me back the rest, to which I declined because A, it's not just about the money, and B, I don't want to risk ruining her mental health by her getting a job, especially since she'd have to quit one of her volunteer jobs, which would have helped her so much. I explained this to her, but she wasn't hearing reason, so I put my foot down and said my decision was final because the dog was technically mine since I paid for it. Then I hung up. We put Junie down, surrounding her with love and gratitude. When we got home, my daughter had just pulled in and was hysterical. I told her she was too old to be acting like this, and one part of becoming a competent, independent adult was accepting what life throws at you. Now she isn't speaking to me. I'm beginning to think I should have at least told her where we were so she could say goodbye. On the other hand, Junie already served her purpose in helping my daughter, and she only had the dog for 4 years, so I don't understand the huge overreaction. Am I the asshole? And then the OP makes a couple edits and an update to his post, but before that, let's get into some of the comments. A commenter says, "You're the asshole. I wish I didn't read this. This animal was a living being and a member of the family, not an object to be discarded once it had fulfilled its purpose. If you can't justify spending money on a medical treatment for a pet, then you don't get a pet. Simple as that. People who have such a cavalier attitude about euthanasia make me sick." That's enough internet for tonight. Another commenter says, "You're the asshole. This is actually sickening. Saying that Junie already served her purpose in helping my daughter is such a gross thing to say. How do you know your daughter doesn't still rely on that dog emotionally? Just because she's doing better doesn't mean she still doesn't have those mental health issues. You basically killed your daughter's best friend for no reason. You said you could afford the surgery. I wouldn't be surprised if your daughter regresses majorly due to this. Shame on you." And one last comment says, "You're the asshole. Where do I start? You want her to grow up and be independent, yet she can't have a job, so she will be unemployed forever due to her mental state? You even said volunteer work is helping. Who's to say a real job wouldn't help? And speaking of her mental state, killing her dog and not letting her even say goodbye is not damaging, but a job, ooh, that's a little too much for her to handle. Pushing 5 isn't old for a dog, and it served its purpose? You say she still has a ways to go, so saying, 'Oh hey daughter, you are less sad, now time for old Yeller, yo go be hide the tool shed,' probably ain't gonna help too much. Honestly, you effed up big. It's clear you don't like dogs, and don't even really understand your daughter. You have no idea what you've done, and that's the worst part, so don't play that for her own sake. Shit, this post shows you have no clue." And then the OP sees the overwhelming amount of hate comments they were getting, and decide to edit their post. And this is what they say. Edit. Jesus Christ. Message received. I guess I am the asshole. I still believe I made the best choice, but I could have let her be more involved. Some people are asking the same questions, so I'll answer them here. I am not a sociopath. I am just excellent at separating emotion and preference of logic, especially in times of crisis. This does not mean I don't feel anything. I love my daughter more than anything in the world. My wife was 100% on my side for the actual decision of putting Junie down and agreed our daughter should not witness it. She did, however, disagree with the words and tone I used towards my daughter when we got home, which is where I began wondering if I was the asshole. I am not, and have never been jealous of Junie. That's ridiculous. She was an emotional crutch for my daughter, and will always be special to me in that way. My daughter did not love me any less after getting the dog. If anything, she loved me more. Lastly, thought I would update you all that I did in fact talk to my daughter today. It took her some time to let me in, but when she did, I was able to explain my side and give her my reasonings for what I did, and convince her to forgive me. She agreed, and we are all moving past this ASAP. I'm actually about to run out and get her favorite fast food for dinner, and we're having a family movie night. She is still acting distant and mopey, but she has her regular therapist appointment tomorrow, so I'm confident she can vent there and her therapist can help her get through this without any permanent damage. By the way, I also offered to get her another dog, which hasn't been easy for me, and she declined, so I don't think her bond with the dog and like for animals in general was as unbreakable and solid as you all commenters are claiming. Junie just wasn't meant to be around that long, and I'm glad my daughter was able to have 4 years with the dog she liked. Now we're moving on. The end. And edit 2. To everyone leaving horrendous messages to me in my DMs, take a look at yourself and the words you're using against me, and consider how hypocritical it is that you're calling me the asshole when you're telling me you hope my daughter murders me. Our next one's gonna be, I'm full of regrets, believing that my husband cheated on me when he didn't. And let's get into it. Cheating is something that I have always had strong opinions about. I have been cheated on before, and it sucked. Everyone knows that I don't forgive cheaters. So when my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, staged an elaborate scheme about my husband cheating, I ended the relationship. My relationship, unfortunately, wasn't the only one that was affected. My sister-in-law, Lisa, 32, and her best friend Emma, 32, and my husband Jamie, 29, were best friends growing up. Emma got married early when she was 20. Her husband was abusive. She has 2 children with him. She got divorced 10 years later, and she was finally free from his abuse. She suffered a lot, however, and was, probably still is, in therapy, her and her children. I, 30, met Jamie 4 years ago. We got married 2 years later. Everything was just awesome. What I didn't know was that Emma wanted Jamie, and Lisa made it her mission, when Emma finally got divorced, to bring her brother and best friend together. I didn't know any of this, so I never knew there was a hidden agenda. When I, a few months into my marriage, overheard Lisa talking about how Jamie was cheating on me with a married colleague of his. In hindsight, I could tell it was staged because she was saying unnecessary details and was very loud. She meant for me to hear it. I confronted her there and then, and she played very flustered and apologized and begged me not to ruin my marriage. She told me Jamie loved me and she never wants to lose me as a sister, but at the same time, she provided me with pictures and texts, they were all photoshopped, of my husband and his colleague. She begged me not to mention where I found out, and I was grateful for her support and promised not to expose her as the source. I confronted my husband with everything, and he adamantly refused to admit to anything. It hurt me more that he never admitted nor apologized, ever. He asked me where I got this from, but I kept my promise and told him it was an anonymous tip. I also went so far that I contacted the colleague's husband. At the time, I thought it was the right thing to do. The colleague is this very beautiful woman that my husband worked very closely with many hours a day. I was a bit jealous of that, and I confided my fears with Lisa. She used it against me. I asked for divorce, and the colleague's husband did too. After that, Lisa, who I thought was my friend, who called me her sister, disappeared from my life, like I never existed. Even when I bumped into her, she was short with me and indifferent. Months went by, and I was still heartbroken, processing the separation. My husband stopped trying to make me see reason and agreed to divorce. He said he wanted to move on. I started having doubts. Why is Lisa doing this now? She was my friend and wanted the best for me, yet now she didn't even answer my texts. I follow both her and Emma on Insta, and I started seeing how Emma and my husband gradually started hanging out. At least once a week, Emma or Lisa shared stories about my husband with Emma and her children. What I did next is very questionable, and yet I don't regret it at all. I was desperate, and I needed the truth. I was still very good friends with Lisa's on and off again boyfriend's sister. I told her my doubts and everything. I told her that Lisa was my source that my husband was cheating, and I'm starting to doubt everything, and that I needed their help to unearth the truth. Mike was easier to persuade to help me than I expected. He had Lisa's passcodes, and he went through her messages with Emma, and there was everything. They have plotted every. They used my idiocy and insecurity and made me throw the best thing that ever happened to me. He sent me all the proof I needed, even the original photos they used to Photoshop my husband with his colleague. My world was turned upside down again, and I went down to deeper depression. I stayed in bed, called in sick for 2 weeks. I have not only ruined my life, but also another family. I don't even know why I'm writing here, if I want advice or just vent. I don't blame anyone but my stupidity for ruining my marriage. I should have trusted my husband and the love he's shown me. I should have been honest with him about everything and where I got the news that he was cheating from. I should have not gone to hurt the colleague and her family just because I thought her beautiful. She has since quit her job and moved, but I still had her husband's contact information. I had to at least apologize. We met, and I told him everything. He was so angry with me. He was crying and yelling at me, and all I could think was that I deserved every insult he threw my way. I found the colleague on Instagram and DM'd her everything and a long apology. She didn't answer me. I don't know if I should tell my husband too. I know I don't deserve him at all. And I know that he doesn't want me anymore, but maybe he should just know what Emma is doing and what she's capable of doing. He deserves to know the truth. Maybe I could start with reassuring him that I'm not trying to win him back. I'm just trying to help him understand and apologize. I need to apologize for everything. I don't know. And then we get an update from OP a little while later, and this is what they have to say. Hi, I now have an update. Thank you for being so supportive. I honestly didn't expect that, given how long and boring my story was. I remember being so desperate and wanting to tell everything from the beginning and put it out there. Maybe try to make excuses for myself and for what I did. I appreciate that you wanted to help. I decided not to meet up with Jamie. Every time I tried to text him and asking for a meeting, I panic. That wasn't a good sign at all. I wanted him to know everything, in details, and I tend to be all over the place when I'm panicking, so I decided to email him instead. I made a lot of drafts, cross-checked all the information, and waited a whole day before sending, adding some details here and there that I've forgotten to include. I sent him all the manipulated pictures in the original, every screenshot Mike sent me from Lisa and Emma's conversations. I made it clear, however, that I wasn't trying to manipulate him to have me back, because I knew what I did was unforgivable, but that I wanted to warn him about who he was dealing with. I told that I've been watching Emma and Lisa's Instagram, and I've seen that he is getting cozier with Emma. I wanted him to know all the facts if he was dating her. This took all my energy to write. Just the thought of him dating Emma. I mean, I can't. I texted him that I've sent him an important email. He didn't answer me. On Wednesday, when I came back from work, Lisa, Emma, and Emma's 2 children were waiting for me outside of my building. When I let them in, stupid me, Lisa started yelling and threatening me. She told me to call and tell Jamie and Mike that I have made up all this because I'm a pathetic loser. She told me I didn't want her as an enemy because she would make my life sour. Believe me, you don't want me to make destroying your already miserable life my mission. Emma just smiled the whole time. She later said that my husband always had a crush on her and he wouldn't believe my nonsense because he could finally be with her. The thing is, it felt like Lisa was more angry about that Mike knew what she did rather than her brother, and that she was really annoyed about Emma and told her to shut up all the time. I couldn't get them out of my apartment, so I just left and called Jamie. I told him that they were at my place and I couldn't get them out. 15 minutes later, I saw them leave. Jamie texted then that he wanted to come over if I was alright with it. Yes. He told me that he was very hurt and that I would doubt him like this and believe rumors. I told him everything, again, without panicking. I told him that I loved and trusted Lisa. She was like my sister, and I asked him to put himself in my shoes, and if he happened to hear Lisa talk about me being unfaithful, would he have any doubts in his loving sister's intentions? He stayed the night and left the next morning. We have been texting several times a day and talking on the phone and FaceTime every night since. He says that he loves me, but he doesn't know what to do. He is very hurt. By his sister, and Emma of course, but even by me. He hasn't talked about canceling the divorce process yet. I will just have to wait, and that's understandable. I've turned his life upside down twice in such a short period. On a happier note, my husband's colleague and her husband are back together. My husband met with them and apologized. I've already told them everything, but my husband felt the need to apologize personally. Mike has ended it with Lisa. Lisa and Emma's relationship is very strained. Both have blocked me from Instagram, of course, but apparently Lisa is blaming Emma for Mike leaving her, and Emma has tried to throw Lisa under the bus by telling Jamie she was innocent in all of this. I really hope my husband forgives me, and I promise that I will make it up to him and love him forever. And then our last story for today is going to be, I need to confess to my wife that I let things get out of hand with another woman. Here's how it goes. My wife and I are long distance. She works abroad. I take care of our sons, 4 and 3, and do odd jobs. Originally, we lived with her, but our kids ended up put in a dangerous situation, and I didn't want that to happen again. Quitting her job wasn't an option in her eyes, so I moved to our home country with the kids while she stayed. She visits us a few times a year. I moved in with close family friends. It was a hard and painful decision. I had a lot of resentment over my wife prioritizing her job over our family, but I love her. I couldn't imagine not being with her. I thought about divorce, but we decided to try to work things out. The other woman was my friend when we were little kids. After my mother died, I left my hometown and moved in with my dad and didn't see that friend. But I stayed connected with some other people from that town throughout my life, and when I moved back home with the kids, I started visiting my hometown more, to see my mom's grave and visit my old neighbors. When I met my old friend again, I was excited to see her, but I'm nostalgic for everything from my childhood. It started out innocent. I was just happy to have another connection to that part of my life. Anyway, she has a son too, who is 6. And so we ended up taking our kids to the park together while we had a coffee and caught up. It was innocent, and I told my wife I'd reconnected with her, and my wife was fine with it. She jokingly asked if she should be jealous, but she didn't mean it. She trusted me, so I feel so terrible. We met up a couple times a month from then on. I don't really know when it lost its innocence, but I realized I started becoming infatuated with her. We'd hug every time we met up, and before we left, I would feel so wistful when she would hug me. She would start talking about how her ex mistreated her and her son, and I felt so protective. She started making comments like, "My son is so good with your sons. It's like they are brothers." And I talked to her about some of the stuff that bothered me about my relationship with my wife, and she sympathized. I realized I enjoyed the attention, and I found myself entertaining fantasies that I was with her instead. I kept thinking about if I had never met my wife and had instead moved back home and reconnected with my old friend, and we'd somehow had our same kids, only with each other. We both could have been happy and been spared so much pain. If I'm trying to be objective, she's a better match for me than my wife. She puts her kids first, she appreciates me for who I am. My wife does too, but I feel like me and the kids are always an afterthought for her. Even when she's home and spending time with us, she is always thinking about her job. My wife is a good person, and she does good work, but her job traumatizes her, and she was already traumatized before she started it. She started doing her job to cope with her past, but she's also re-traumatizing herself over and over, and my kids and I pay the price. I'm not trying to justify my actions, I'm just trying to explain. My childhood friend was always complimenting me on my looks, how good of a dad I am, my physical strength. It's like she appreciated the unique things about me, and I feel like my wife loved me just because I was there for her. Like she would have loved anyone who loved her, and I was just the only one who did. It wasn't always like that, but that's how it started to eventually feel with my wife being so distracted by her job all the time. I didn't really notice it until I reconnected with my friend and noticed the contrast. I should not have let things get that far, I know, but at first it was just an occasional thought, and I just brushed it off as intrusive thoughts and telling myself, yeah, everyone has inappropriate thoughts, but what matters is your actions. But I just let it go too far. In hindsight, some of our friendly banter was really more like flirting, and it was not appropriate. That's an action, not a thought. Anyway, today was a reality check. She said she wanted to talk to me about something serious without the kids there, so I let my other friend who I live with babysit and met up with her. And she basically confronted me with the fact that we obviously have feelings for each other, and I should leave my wife for her. But it was like immediately I realized the amount of BS I was feeding myself and her. I instantly felt so bad. I didn't deny having feelings, but maybe I should have. She kept insisting I think it over, and when she saw how upset I was, she said she'd let me think it over and then left. I should have told her no. There is nothing to think over. I love my wife, and I am not leaving her, but I didn't say anything. That in itself is weighing on me. I need to tell my wife, I know. I just don't even know where to begin. Next time she's coming home is October. I feel like this is the kind of thing to say face to face, but I don't want to wait that long. And I don't want her to come all this way to have a nice time and ruin it. I could leave the kids with my friends and go visit her, but on top of the money issues and logistical issues, even that thought makes me sick. I keep imagining her smiling and being delighted to see me, and then how devastated she's going to be when I tell her. I can't stop thinking about her face. I feel sick. I don't want to tell her at all and just never see my childhood friend again. I'm also mad at myself for letting my stupid fantasies ruin a friendship and a precious memory, but I know it would be wrong to keep seeing her and impossible to just be normal friends now. But I know honesty is the best policy. I owe it to her to be honest. I just don't know what to do. I feel so wrong and stupid. I don't want to tell my friends. I think one of them would be really angry at me for almost cheating, and the other might actually encourage me to leave my wife. I feel like I need someone to tell me what to do because I can't process. The OP makes a couple edits and a mini update, but before that, let's see what some of the comments are saying. This person says, please know your childhood friend played on every issue and insecurity. Nice of you to tell her all about them so she knew exactly how to get to you, to get your attention. She made sure you felt like she was the perfect match. She purposely went after a married man. This was absolutely calculated and you went right along with it. She's not your perfect match. I guarantee that if you leave your wife for this viper, within a year, you'll be wondering what happened to your perfect match. She's looking to break up your marriage, which makes her not a good person. You and your wife definitely have some issues to deal with, and now you've added inviting another woman into your relationship to make it even harder. ETA. No friend, especially not a good friend, makes the kind of comments this woman was making, especially to a married man. If she was your friend, she would have been supporting you in your difficult time in your marriage, not setting out to destroy it and insert herself in your wife's place. Another says, dude, you are definitely emotionally cheating. Say it as it is and not got out of hands with another woman. Admitting it yourself and saying as it is will help you. One last comment says, tell your wife. You're going to further traumatize her if you end up cheating, and from what it seems, you're letting this happen. You didn't deny this other woman. Instead of telling your wife of your needs, you go around giving into the idea of someone else. Are you working and making enough to make it possible for her to not work abroad? And the OP actually replies to this saying, I'm going to tell her. I'm not going to cheat physically. I'm not going to see her talk to my friend again, except maybe one more time to make things clear, since I probably wasn't clear enough before. My wife knows I would prefer she come home, but that isn't going to happen. She was very clear that if she had to pick between me and her job, she'd pick the job. She doesn't do it for the money. And the OP just gets absolutely downvoted on this one. And then, after a couple of the hate comments the OP was getting, they update the post and say the following. Edit. Okay, these comments are overwhelming and I need to sleep. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk to my friends about what's going on and, after being yelled at probably, see if they'll be able to watch my kids while I visit my wife and tell her what's going on. If not, I can probably ask a few other people. If not, then I'll just tell her over Zoom. I'm also going to text my childhood friend that I don't want to see her again and then block her. I'm not going to leave my wife. If she leaves me, I'm going to stay single. I'm not going to date my ex-friend. I will always love my wife, and I don't think it would be fair for anyone for me to date anyone else while I still love her. To stop from having to answer the same question over and over, my wife is an aid worker. She doesn't do it for the money. She does it because she believes God called her to do it. I do gig jobs and sometimes construction. I choose to work more flexibly and spend more time with my kids. I put my wife through college. I'm not freeloading off her. I am kind of freeloading off the friend I live with, I'll admit that, but we're all happy with this arrangement. The reason I left with the kids is because we got carjacked at gunpoint. My wife changes locations a lot, so living somewhere safe, but still closer to her, isn't really an option. It's either travel with her officially through her organization, or stay put somewhere. I don't think my childhood friend originally intended to cheat with me, but I guess it doesn't matter anymore. Edit 2. Everyone telling me to get a stable job so my wife can come home, you misunderstand. You think my wife and I haven't spoken about this? She is never going to quit her job. She made that very clear. Her job is her priority. I promise you she's not doing it for the money. I'm not forcing her to do it by refusing to work more. If she said she would even consider quitting if I found a more stable job, I'd do that in a heartbeat. Anyway, I talked stuff over with my friends. They were understanding. The plan is to fly over and see my wife next week-ish, but we still have to make arrangements. I thought about contacting my wife's boss to see if we could do a surprise visit, but it seems like it would be cruel to show up and surprise her and make her happy to see me, only to break her heart. So instead I called my wife saying everyone is okay, but I have something bad to tell her that she should hear in person, and I'm going to fly out to see her. She said I should just tell her because otherwise she's going to worry about it the whole time. So I almost did, but then she said, no, don't tell me. I want to see you. So I didn't. Then we get an update post a bit later from the OP, and this is what they have to say. A lot of people asked me for an update, which I will, but I have a couple of things to say first. First, I wanted to thank everybody who commented civilly, regardless of your opinion. I especially appreciated hearing from people who had been in a similar situation or in a similar situation to another person I mentioned. I wasn't thinking very straight at the time, and I don't think I thanked everybody properly, but it was very kind of you to take the time to share your perspective. The other thing, I should have said something at the time, but a lot of people bashed my wife and I didn't defend her as much as I should have, so I'm gonna set the record straight now. First of all, people were saying she was cheating on me, but she would never ever do that. She is honest and loyal, and a much better person than I am. Second, people were saying my wife is negligent and doesn't care about me or our kids. This is also wrong. She's very loving. Yes, she is busy with her job, but she says she thinks about us every moment. And when she is home, she spends as much time with me and the kids as she can. She does get distracted and think about things at work that stress her out, but that's because she sees things that get to her. It's not because she doesn't care about us. She's not like half the parents out there that ignore their kids because they're distracted by their phone. People were also bashing me in a way I think was kind of over the top, but honestly, you can bash me, but don't bash my wife. Me having problems in my relationship doesn't mean she deserves to get bashed. I actually showed the post to my best friend, and she pointed out that a lot of you were probably just being sexist. You attacked my wife and said she didn't care about me or our kids because she doesn't get to see us much. But my friend pointed out that there are a lot of jobs that mostly men do that mean they don't get to see the kids much, and no one says that they don't love their kids and need to quit. So for everyone who said my wife doesn't love our kids, would you say the same to dads who are in the military, truck drivers, work on oil rigs? Would you say that they're all definitely cheating on their wives, or tell their wives that they should leave them? If not, you're being sexist. And for everyone who told me to get a better job so my wife can come home, would you say that to a woman who is married to a guy who does one of those jobs? For everyone saying me and my wife shouldn't be married or have kids because she's an aid worker, do you think there shouldn't be any aid workers? Or do you think no aid worker should be allowed to get married and have kids because of their job? You realize a lot less people would be aid workers if it meant they couldn't have a family, right? You don't make any sense. Anyway, I saw my wife and told her everything, and we actually had a nice visit. She was glad to see me in spite of everything, and she insisted I not tell her anything bad until after she showed me something, which was very confusing to me, but I agreed. Anyway, it was a little waterfall, and it was beautiful. She said she visited the waterfall whenever she got a chance, and it reminded her of me, and she wished she could show it to me every time. I nearly cried when she said that. I almost couldn't even tell her after that. But I already told her I was going to tell her something bad, so I had to. Anyway, we sat there for a while until she said she was ready to hear my bad news. So, as much as it killed me, I told her everything that happened. She tried to be calm and understanding, but I could tell she was hurt. I almost wished she would have yelled and slapped me, but she just thanked me for being honest. She asked what I was going to do. I said I wasn't going to stay in touch with my former friend either way, but I hoped she would forgive me and come home to us in October like she planned. She said I was already forgiven and asked me for more details about what exactly happened and my feelings, which I did my best to answer honestly. It was hard though. I could tell she was getting more and more upset. Eventually she just said okay, and we walked back to her base without really talking at all. That night, we talked more. She knows it's hard for me to live the way we do, and she just asked me again if I was sure I still wanted to be with her. I told her I knew she wasn't going to quit her job, but I talked about how one of the hardest things is that even when she comes home, her mind is on her job, and it's hard to see how sad and stressed she always is. She said she'd bring it up in therapy and try to work on being present in the moment with her family. She kept pressing me if there was anything she could do better besides quit her job, and I told her how I felt and how sometimes it seems she only loves me because I love her, and I could be anyone. She cried, apologized, said it's not true, and told me as many specific things she could think of that she loves about me. I did the same for her. She said she was glad we talked and glad I was willing to keep working on our marriage, because from the beginning when I told her I had something bad to tell her in person, she just assumed I wanted a divorce. She said she's always worrying I'm going to leave her, but she's grateful for every day I don't. I promised her I don't plan to, and told her I worry the same thing sometimes. It was a really good conversation. The other days, I went to her job site with her for a bit and helped out with a few things. The local kids were teasing my wife about me, which was adorable. Things aren't perfect, but they're going to be okay. Also, I know a lot of people said that my wife should leave me because what I did was as bad as a physical affair, and confusingly, A lot of people said I did nothing wrong. I think it's somewhere in between. I did something wrong, but I did stop it before it got that far. And a lot of people say I should divorce my wife, but I'm not divorcing her. She has her flaws, but she's also one of the best people I know. All her flaws are because she's been through things that I can't even imagine. I chose to love her in spite of the things she can't give me. I will always love her. I'm not someone who can stop loving someone. Even if we divorced, I'd think about her and wonder if she was okay every single day. I can't be in a relationship with another person even if I wanted to, because I'd never be over her. It wouldn't be fair to them. It's my wife or no one for me. We then get another update from OP a little while later, and this is what they have to say. Hi, this is sort of an update of my previous posts in this sub. You can see them on my profile. The sub won't let me link them. But it's also a lot of other stuff to get off my chest. I made a post here a while ago. It was about how I realized I was in an emotional affair with my old friend while my wife was working in the Philippines. That issue is resolved. My wife forgave me, I haven't spoken to my old friend at all anymore, and I'm much more careful with my other female friends. However, some of the comments I got on my last posts have still been weighing on me, and my wife is home now, and she had a lot of big news that I want to get off my chest. First, the good news is, my wife is pregnant again, and I'm happy about it, in spite of everything, I know. Some people in my last post were asking if I was using protection to avoid bringing more kids into the world, and honestly, no, we didn't. And I didn't want to admit that for obvious reasons. I don't have any defense for that, other than I'm stupid. The other major thing is that my wife probably has OCD. Basically, my wife realized she was late and probably pregnant a long time ago, but originally didn't tell me or take a pregnancy test. She said it was like there were two different people in her head, and part of her was screaming to go get things figured out, but the part of her that actually had control refused to do anything besides carry on as usual. She was too scared to take a pregnancy test and get proof she was pregnant because she knew she wouldn't be allowed to go on her next assignment because of the Zika virus. Basically, it was a lot of screaming at herself to do something about it before she finally got the courage to tell her therapist what was going on and actually take the pregnancy test. So even though she got pregnant in July, she hasn't had any kind of care or anything yet. Also, I guess she'd been hiding a lot of things from her therapist because she knew the therapist would make her take a break if she knew exactly what was going on in her head. So she wasn't honest with the therapist about how she felt compelled to do this job, how she felt when she wasn't doing it, etc. But she knew she needed to do right by her baby, so she finally told the therapist about the pregnancy, how she was having a hard time doing anything about it, and then everything else came out. My wife described to me a bit more how it feels to be in her head. It's not just that she thinks God wants her to do her job. The way she said it, basically, she constantly thinks about all the bad things happening in the world. Everything terrible that she's ever seen. Every time she could have helped someone, but didn't, even if she had a very good reason. And it makes her feel like she has to be working. She thought all of these thoughts were God speaking to her, but she didn't tell the therapist that because she thought she wouldn't understand. She told me when she finally told the therapist, she basically asked her if she thought God was loving, and if so, why God would want her to constantly be thinking about things that made her miserable. That question made my wife open to accepting that she might have a mental illness rather than just having God talking to her. She is home now, a couple of weeks later than she was supposed to come, so she can get prenatal care as soon as possible and a more in-depth mental health assessment. I guess her therapist just thinks she has OCD, but can't actually diagnose her or prescribe her medication or anything. I feel so bad for her, and like I failed too. I feel like I should have tried to dig with her more about what she was feeling. My wife was more open with me than the therapist about her thoughts, and I feel like I knew something was wrong. But I assumed she was telling the therapist everything too, and that the therapist was going to help to the best of her ability. As much as I'm happy, I hope this means that things are going to be going better now. I know my wife feels awful, and that makes me feel awful. Basically, she was really devout and religious growing up, but after some stuff happened to her, she kinda lost her faith and felt like if God existed, he didn't approve of her. I met her around then, and she was definitely in a very dark place for a while. She says that when she started having her thoughts about how she could fix the world, it was really reassuring because she thought she was finally getting her faith back. So it's been pretty crushing for her to not have that feeling anymore. I'm hoping her therapist is able to help her with that as well. My wife doesn't trust religious leaders anymore, so that makes it a lot harder for her to have to go through that. I believe in God, but I don't believe the same things as my wife, and I'm less devout than her, so I don't always know what to say. I've always told her I'm so sorry for what she's been going through, and that I'm so proud of her for finally going to her therapist for help, even though it was so hard. I told her I'm glad she was open with me, and I hope she knows she can rely on me for anything she needs. And I told her I'm sure God knows how hard it was for her to get help, and he's proud of her too. That made her cry. I think in a good way. Anyway, she's been home for a few days now, and we're just taking things one day at a time. Prenatal appointments coming up next week, but we're still trying to figure out the OCD appointment stuff. So far, we've just been cherishing the family time as much as possible. The best news. My wife says when she's done with maternity leave, instead of going back to work, she might try to go back to school. She wants to get her master's and learn another language or two, and she says part of the reason for that, she would have more choices in her assignments and possibly be able to work with refugees here in the US instead of traveling all over. That way, we could find somewhere to live permanently as a family. She said she's not sure yet, and she wants to spend some time figuring things out. But I am hopeful for the first time in a long time that we might be able to be happy together as a family someday. I am really just hoping everything turns out positively. I feel bad for being happy since this is so hard on my wife, but I really hope it'll end up being a positive thing all around in the end. We've told my two closest friends, who we live with, about the new baby, but no one else yet, except Reddit strangers. My best friend is almost as excited as me. She keeps coming to me talking about gender reveal party ideas, like randomly in the middle of talking about the election or whatever. We're keeping it from the kids for just a while longer because she's not very along yet, and if God forbid the baby doesn't make it, we don't want the kids to be upset. So I keep telling her to be a little more subtle, and she keeps forgetting. But luckily the kids have no idea what she is talking about when she does that. Anyway, that's my big news. Someone asked me for an update, and I wanted to clear the air and get some of this stuff off my chest anyway. And then we get another update from the OP a little while later, and this is what they have to say. I've posted here about a major mistake I made while my wife was abroad working as an aid worker. I've also posted about how we recently found out she has OCD. Her form of OCD was that she thought God was constantly talking to her, telling her to do things, and reminding her of all the bad things that were happening in the world. Anyway, since she found out she was pregnant, she has been getting treatment for it. And for a while, things were looking up. I don't mean to be selfish, but for a while, I felt like I could have my old wife back. She really wasn't really like this when we first got together. But it wasn't just for my sake. I was hoping that with the treatment, she'd be happier herself and also be able to be there for our kids more. However, ever since Trump took office, my wife's mental health has taken a turn for the worst. She has always been completely devastated about Palestine. But when she was at her job was a distraction from it. And when she got home and didn't have a distraction, it was rough. But she was actively working on being able to cope. However, when Trump started cutting funding for aid programs, she found out that the organization she works for would be doing layoffs and she might not have a job to go back to, and she completely lost it. Her coworkers were giving her updates from the ground, and there were a lot of rumors. For a few days, she was basically just curled up in bed texting, reading the news, and panicking. I didn't know how to support her during that time. Nothing I tried to do for her made a difference. She didn't want the kids to see her in that state, so she just kept telling me to go spend time with them. She left her room only once during that time to go to therapy, but then the day after she left the house without telling me to go protest by herself by walking along the main road holding a sign. Luckily, she did tell my best friend where she was going, and my best friend went with her and texted me what was up. At first, I was just glad she was feeling well enough to get out of bed. However, now she does this more days a week than not. She spends more time doing this than she spends with our kids. I've gone with her a few times. My best friend goes with her a lot. Even if she wasn't protesting, I'd be worried about her walking on that road. People drive really fast and aren't expecting pedestrians. However, my other worry is that this is a very white and conservative area. A lot of people have guns. And my wife not only is out there protesting things that most people here agree with, but she will actively shout at people who drive by with Trump stickers on their cars. There have been a few times when people will shout at her. A few people have pulled over to argue with her, and if that happens, she doesn't try to de-escalate or anything. She will scream back at them. She has asked a few times if our kids could come with her. I said no, because I was afraid someone could hurt or threaten them, and she agreed not to take them. But when I mentioned that it would be just as horrible for our kids if they lost their mom and unborn brother because someone hurts her, she brushes it off. No one has done anything physical yet, but there are some psychos out there, and it only takes one. She has also stopped doing therapy, stopped doing the workbooks her therapist gave her, and won't take her medication, and didn't get her prescription refilled. She says that she doesn't think there's anything wrong with her. There is something wrong with all the people out there who aren't protesting. I asked her if she doesn't want to get better and be able to be happy, and she says happiness isn't for her. Another thing is that this is affecting our relationships with our neighbors. We were already odd in this area. We are not white, and my wife is Muslim. We sometimes get looks, and I felt like I've had to earn acceptance from the neighbors. People will almost never be directly rude to us, but if I say, my wife is a Muslim, I can tell what they hear is, my wife is a terrorist. If I said, my wife is a liberal Muslim, that wouldn't go over much better. I've just kind of had to pretend I don't notice the reactions and keep being friendly until they decide my family is normal. I also try to always find a way to casually mention that my late mother was white and grew up in this area. However, I can tell people are acting different around me now. A few people avoid me. Some have awkwardly been like, "So I saw your wife the other day." I haven't been getting as much gig work, and worst of all, one of my son's best friends is no longer allowed to come over to our house. They outright told me, he can come over here, but I don't want him to go to your house anymore. It felt like such a slap in the face, since I've babysat that kid so many times for free. Since Israel broke the ceasefire, it's been at its worst. She has been out there every day for hours. I feel so heartbroken for my kids, who don't understand, and for my wife, who is her own worst enemy. I can't force her to get help, but I have no idea what else to do. She's at least been keeping up with her prenatal appointments, and she's promised me that when our son is born, she'll stop protesting, but I almost don't know if I believe her because it almost seems like she's not capable of that. How do I handle this? And before I get into anything specifically, I'm just kind of going through the comment section right now, and whenever anyone has anything bad to say about the OP's wife, he's just in there defending her. And it's pretty sweet, but it's also pretty sad considering, the previous context. But let's get into some of the specific ones. And this commenter says, "So I've read a handful of your posts, and I genuinely worry for your children. What they are witnessing every single day from your wife is going to mess them up, deeply, for a very long time. It will only get worse for them if you don't institutionalize your wife. She is refusing to take her medication, and she is acting this way now. How do you think she's going to be when she gives birth and potentially deals with PPD? Wake up, man. Do the hard, right thing. And the OP replies to this saying, "My wife is very careful about what she says and does in front of the kids. She does have PPD, but is getting treatment for it." And then the original commenter actually replies to this saying, "It does not matter what she says in front of them. They know what's going on. Their friends tell them, and they learned it from their parents. Don't underestimate your children. They are much more clever than you think, and kids are sponges, especially at that age. They see and absorb and learn from everything during this era of their lives. You are actively ruining their lives by hesitating to get your wife medical help / institutionalized." And I just wanted to take a moment to say, it's kind of crazy how the OP originally was in the wrong for being unfaithful, but then, the updates kind of strayed farther away from that. But now, at least to me personally, it feels like he's in the wrong again, because instead of taking accountability for what his wife is doing, he's kind of just in this comment section I'm seeing, just defending his wife against every single comment who has anything bad to say about her. And I think there's plenty of accountability to go around, but you could kind of just see in real time that, he's not really trying too much not trying too much, but you could see that he's putting a lot more of his effort into defending his wife rather than trying to help her the best way he can. But anyway, one last commenter says, "Yikes, I'm so sorry this is happening. This is not an easy fix. There is no solution I can offer other than seeking help. I think you may want to let her OB know what's going on. You're going to need to be hyper vigilant during postpartum and make sure you have a lot of family and friend support. There are so many people that are spiraling because Trump is in office. I don't quite understand it, but you aren't alone. Good luck to you, and hope your wife experiences a healthy delivery." And the OP replies to this saying, "Why the OB? And honestly, the OB has probably seen her. I'm sure the whole town has. We do at least have good support from our housemates. I understand it. What's going on is not good. But I just don't think about politics and horrible things in the world all the time, unlike my wife. Thank you." And then, of course, he gets 3 downvotes. And then we get the edit to the final post, which is basically our final update. And this is what the OP has to say. "I got like 15 people asking if my family is okay, and several a-holes telling me to leave my wife. My baby son is safe and healthy. My wife is doing better. She had a healthy birth, but she developed postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety. She told her therapist she was worried that she wouldn't be able to take care of the baby and would harm him. The therapist recommended she check herself into a mental hospital, and she did. At the hospital, they said her risk of actually hurting the baby is low, and they were just intrusive thoughts, and put her back on medication to manage them. She was only there for 3 days. She said she still feels pretty depressed and angry about what's happening, but she is a little more functional now. She's been back in therapy, doing an online support group, and taking her medication. She promised she wouldn't stop taking it again without talking to me and her therapist first. She has been crocheting baby beanies to donate and doing a postnatal yoga video since her therapist recommended she do something physical to stay grounded. She hasn't protested since our son was born, but she does mostly wear protest shirts and has gotten in 2 public arguments about them. I'm not going to ask her not to do that, because both times it was the other person that started the argument, and my wife is right. Me or one of my friends usually goes with her when she leaves the house, just in case anything happens. My wife officially lost her job, and she is pretty devastated, but she knew it was coming. We don't know what we're going to do from here, but we're just trying to enjoy this family time for now, playing board games, watching cartoons, and reading books. Our oldest just started kindergarten. One thing that makes me happy is that my wife has been speaking to our baby in Somali and teaching our older kids some Somali and Arabic songs. Somali is her native language, but she never spoke it to our older kids before. I am never going to leave my wife. You can't leave your loved one just because they get sick. And mental illness is a real illness, just like cancer or diabetes. For the person who told me to leave her and get with my childhood friend, that would be horrible, and I would never do that. And I've hardly even thought about that girl for months. And that's the end of probably some of the worst threads I've ever had to read. If you enjoyed, again, please consider liking and subscribing. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.